Hey, everybody.
Good evening.
If you are out there and you have gone for Christian marriage help and you came away from that meeting feeling beat up or blamed or just plain bad, this Turnaround Marriage Live is for you.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to adjust this for just a second. Yeah, absolutely, Rachel. So we see this over and over again. In fact, this was our story too. You're already trying to hold your life together. Everything stands in the balance. You're feeling beat up. You're feeling like things are so hopeless. You've been hurt. You've been hurting your spouse. Your kids are hurting. Everybody's hurting. And you don't know what to do. And then you go and you look for that help. And what happens a lot of times, it's sad to say, but it happens to so many people that we talk to, that they go and get supposed help. And that help actually winds up traumatizing them. In fact, I was just speaking to one of our amazing clients today, an amazing couple, and they're having an amazing, nothing short of miraculous turnaround in their marriage. And she was saying to me today, like, Scott, you've got to understand, for decades, I'm talking 30 years, we have tried everything, all the help, all the counseling, all the books, everything. And I was left traumatized. In fact, it went so far as to say I've had numerous breakdowns, nervous breakdowns, because of the help that I went to go and get. Finally, she says, this has been so tremendously helpful, the process that we've walked them through of healing. And it's been so fun. So, Rachel, why is it that people so often, they're going for help and it's not working? In fact, sometimes they're feeling left even more traumatized than they were to begin with. Why is that?
Well, I think the first reason is so often you go there and you get beat up. You get belittled and badgered about what you're doing wrong, and you go away feeling, I'm not ever coming back. Often it's if there's two of you going and one of you feels that way and the other one is like, yes, I have my validation. The other one comes away feeling, forget it. I'm not ever coming back. I'm not ever going to sit in that office again. And the first spouse is absolutely devastated because here they thought they had all this hope that things could change. And one of you ended up feeling just absolutely beat up. It's like, what it looks like. You know what it should look like. For every one of you out there who's honorable and successful in other parts of your life, you know what a good marriage should look like. Maybe, though, when you went, you just absolutely felt beat up and like you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. And that's just so defeating, right? And it just makes you want to quit, makes you feel more hopeless. And then there you go. Here's the narrative. Well, we tried and it was too hard. And so we couldn't. No one could help us. And then we start labeling, right?
It's so true. And right along with that, she certainly said that was one thing. But another thing that goes right along with that is not just feeling beat up, but feeling like she was to blame. Like, it's like, you need to be doing this. Like, it's all of those moralisms that they've received. Like, what is the word I used earlier? I can't even remember the word. The platitudes, the basically the moralism. Like, you're told what you're supposed to be doing. And because it hasn't gotten there yet, it's your fault. And so she just felt like, I'm to blame. Of course I'm to blame. I'm to blame. I'm the one. As if operating in that sphere is actually going to bring healing. It's not.
Right.
And it feels really bad when you feel like, I'm to blame. Sorry about the airplane going over.
Yeah. Because when you feel blamed, then all the fingers feel like they're pointing at you. Then you're like, but what about the hurts that I've experienced? What about what he's doing or what she's doing? And so you can just feel like, if I'm blamed, it's all my fault. Then we go into that victim status and we just can spiral, and you can again feel so defeated and hopeless and like, well, we tried everything. But besides being beat up and besides being blamed, so often we just see you're feeling really bad when you walk out of there. You're feeling the shame of who you are. You're feeling like the core problem is you. You have a diagnosis. You have a problem. You have an addiction. You have a triggering habit. You have a trauma. And it's like, so I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm bad. And guys, we're here to say, like, we of course know all of us are sinners at our core. All of us have made so many mistakes. We have sinned in the face of a holy God, and yet we are also image bearers. And so if we come away feeling bad about who we are as an image bearer, how are we ever going to step up to fix the marriage? How are we ever going to feel empowered to do that? Because we're just going to feel bad, either
Hmm.
bad about who we are, or maybe we got bad advice. I've heard so much bad advice when we get on the phone with honorable people who are reaching out for help, and they're like, yeah, so and so said that, I should just not pursue him for 30 days and just,
Oh my
leave
gosh.
him,
Yeah.
leave him hanging and leave him alone. It's like all this bad advice that's out there, it's damaging
It's
and it's
mind-boggling.
detrimental.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. It's not just bad. It's anti-biblical. It's against what God would tell you to do. And so often you went to a Christian counselor and they've given you the bad advice and you're like, "Oh, it must be right. This is what I've been told to do." Or this is what everybody else says to do. Or this is what my friends said. Whatever it is, they're listening to the bad advice and it keeps them stuck. But I do want to go back to that bad advice about yourself. That is a massively important thing because if you're going to a counselor or a therapist, because of insurance, they actually have to find a diagnosis for you. And then you are now the ADD or the ADHD, or you've got, obsessive compulsive or whatever. They have to put a label on you. And that
Mm.
label begins to keep you stuck. And then people show up on the phones with us. Well, I have ADHD. That's what's wrong with our marriage. No,
Or I
no.
have complex trauma, or I am
Oh my
depressed,
gosh.
or I have anxiety.
I've heard it
And
all.
again, it's those bad labels where you feel bad about who you are at a core, and it absolutely keeps you stuck. So guys, if you're out there and you've been beat up, or you've been blamed, or you have just felt plain bad about going to advice, we have good news for you, because the process that we walk our clients through is completely opposite of that.
Yep.
We believe if you can be equipped,
Yes.
encouraged, and empowered, everything can change. So we want to kind of unpack that for you guys, because here's what we really believe at the core. Number one, you have to be equipped. You have to know how to be able to change our thought patterns, how to be able to
Mhm.
change how we get triggered and what things mean, how to be able to change how we even feel in the situation, because we can just nurse those wounds and resentments and bitterness and unforgiveness and nurse them until that is just who we are and we're comfortable there.
Mhm.
And guys, we want to tell you, if you can be equipped to be able to change how you feel and think, to
Yeah.
change how you respond and show, to change how you communicate and listen and help your spouse feel validated and feel
Mhm.
understood, everything can change, right?
You're so right. And you had someone recently actually say to you on the phone, like, I don't need to hear one more thing about what I'm supposed to do. Right?
Right,
Like, because you know all the things you're supposed to do, right?
right.
It's like, well, maybe there's some tools that you're missing. Maybe there's some things that you can use for communication in your marriage. But really what we're talking about is what Rachel's saying, like equipped to actually bring about change, equipped to connect with God in a way that you can really apply his word in a powerful way and walk in obedience in a way
Mm-hmm.
that you haven't been able to before.
Right.
It's like you can't see this for yourself. There are a lot of things you can't just say, "Oh, I just need to be stronger." Like you go to the weekend away, supposed to do. I've learned some great things, and then how long does that last?
Right.
A day,
You come
two,
home, yeah.
3. So you need equipping, and really, we'll get to the other pieces too. But that is so important that people are equipped to be able to change because they don't know how.
Because I want to piggyback on what you said, because that's so good about going away for a weekend and everything is just great for a couple of days, and
Right.
then what happens? Somebody doesn't follow through. Somebody's not doing their part, and the other person
Right.
starts to go, "Well,
Guilty
you
as
said."
charged.
You
Yeah.
did. We were there.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
and I was ready to point my fingers at you and go, "How come you not? He said to do this, and you're not doing it." And so then we
It's
go
true.
even more into that defeated mode and hopeless mode, because if you're not equipped, if you can know all the right things, but you don't have any tools in your tool belt to be able to implement that, I'm here to tell you,
Mhm.
you're going to stay stuck. So, not just being equipped, though. Secondly, is we know at the core we need encouragement.
Yep.
We do not need to be beat up one more time. And we're not talking about coddling people. We're not talking about calling people out, because we teach our clients to take total ownership of their own stuff, right? Total ownership of how they feel and how they think and how they respond. But what we're talking about is being encouraged. You've got to be in an
Mhm.
environment where you're being cheered on, right? We have a great cloud of witnesses cheering us on to get to glory. Without that, how many of us would make it, right? It can be so hard when you're
Mm.
discouraged. It can be so hard when you feel defeated and hopeless. You need somebody in your corner
So
cheering you
true.
on and saying, "I believe in you. I care about you. I love you." That's what our client
Yeah.
mentioned. She was like,
Yeah.
"I felt so loved and encouraged to be able to change and equipped to change," and that made all the
Yeah.
difference for them. And after decades of struggling, it's like so beautiful to see their joyous faces. They're
Yeah.
like the youth has come back to their faces, and that's what
Yeah.
encouragement does, right? You need someone in your corner cheering you on.
Yeah, you're so right. And her husband actually said, I actually am. glad to be alive. Like,
Hmm.
it's been years, and now I'm so happy. I'm so happy again. And
Wow.
and she's like it's hard to even understand to describe what you guys do, because it's not counseling, it's not preaching. It's like you're not only equipping us with tools, but you're encouraging us. And it's
Yeah.
so important, because if you hear something you're doing wrong, you already know you're doing it wrong, and you just feel piled up on. And it's like you don't need someone else to beat you up, because
Hmm.
you're already beating yourself up, right? And so, if to have someone
Right.
come alongside you and actually wants to encourage you, and can actually say, like, my friend, I know what it's like to some degree, like, I've been there.
Right.
And that's something that we do, I should say, is like we connect every day to our purpose. We connect to where we once were and
Yeah.
how dark things were, because we know when people get on our phones, they're going to be hurting, they're going to be angry, they're going to be upset, because they're hurt. It's a painful place, and people really, really, really need encouragement.
Hmm.
And when we
Yeah.
say encouragement, I don't mean, oh, poor you, son. Your wifey's so mean. You need to get rid of her. Like, that's what a lot of times people do. And that's obviously bad advice.
Mm.
But encouragement that says, brother, I know what it's like, but now let's go. Which leads us to number three.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Besides being equipped and being encouraged, you've got to be empowered,
Yep.
empowered to heal. You know what I mean? If we feel powerless in ourselves, if we feel powerless to connect with our God who can do anything, if we feel, totally powerless to change, we're going to stay in that hopeless victim status. We're going to stay stuck where it's all poor me and there's nothing I
Mm.
can do. And we hear it all the time. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. If you don't feel empowered to take action, if you don't feel empowered to actually heal the own brokenness in your own heart and allow God to do that work in you that needs to be done so that you're
Mm-hmm.
not triggered, so that you're not walking around in that resentment.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to tell you it's going to be so hard to fix your marriage because what you need is to be empowered.
Yeah.
Empowered to walk that journey of healing so that the past no longer defines you. Those things that happened to you or that you did do not have to be the rest of your story. We teach our clients you can change your story. You
Yeah.
get to change your story with God's help and His grace. He gives us everything we need with power uh, for power and godliness. Right?
Yeah.
I mangled that verse, but he does give us everything we need. And so, if you are empowered to be able to heal with God's grace and His help, with His Word, and with the right tools and strategies, I'm here to tell you everything can change. Because when you're showing up grateful and full of peace and hope, when you
Yeah.
have love and respect to give your spouse, when you realize there's nothing outside of His grace that's not there's nothing that can touch you outside of what His good providence will allow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything can change, guys.
Yeah.
Everything can change. And this is why we're so passionate about what we do. And this is why, every single day we're willing to get hung up on and screamed at and,
Well, it doesn't happen every
whatever
day, but
on the phone
sometimes.
by people who are
Yeah.
hurting because we
Yeah.
recognize they're hurting.
Yeah.
But guys, for the right people, who take our hand, I'm here to tell you it is just so beautiful to see stories like with this client you just spoke with
Mm-hmm.
today, this couple, and to see God at work, guys. And it's just we're here to tell you you don't have to stay beat up and blamed
Yeah.
and feeling bad. You really can be equipped, encouraged, and empowered. And that's what we do. I mean, we really help get to the core of your identity. Who are you in Christ?
Mm-hmm.
Stop repeating those things that you've said of yourself or someone has said of you so many times, right? And step into who you are
Right.
so that you can effect change in your marriage.
Absolutely. And God, and just sum it all up, really, it's this. You need someone that's going to help you to hear the voice of God again.
Oh, yes.
Like, I just shared a testimony when it was a really dark moment in my life. God didn't show up and say, "My son, you dummy, why are you thinking about the things you're thinking about?"
Mm.
He said, "I'm here." I just knew he was there
Mm.
in that dark moment. And sometimes that's what we need, right? We need someone just to say, "I get it, and I'm here, and let's look to the future of what's possible." And so the heart of what we're trying to do is to help you to hear the voice of God for your circumstance and for your heart, and for who you are and what He says to you. Oftentimes when we're hurting, we can't even hear. We're like been hit by a big wave, and we don't even know which way is upside down,
Right.
which way is up, which side is down, and we don't know how to swim out of it. And so there are helps, my friends. There are good helps that are out there. I happen to believe that ours is the very best that is out there. And I don't say that because I'm arrogant. I say that because God called us to this, and God put us through allowed us to go through a lot of things so that he could redeem that and help us to get amazing results. So I just want to encourage you, just because you have been traumatized or felt defeated doesn't mean that that's all that there is. Just because that has been the story doesn't mean that it has to be the story moving forward.
Mm.
And there are wonderful helps out there. There are. And the ones that are going to point you with the word of God back to him and his purposes and his plan for marriage, and in practical ways. Again, I do believe that we're the best ones out there because God has really downloaded so much of what we do. But what do people need to do today, Rach?
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're looking for that type of miracle that we saw and we just discussed with this beautiful couple that we've been working with, if you're looking to go from feeling beat up and blamed and bad
Mm-hmm.
to really encouraged, equipped, and empowered, then we want you to go ahead and book a breakthrough session with us. We offer a complimentary breakthrough call where we can help you really get clarity about what's not been working and help create that strategy of what it is that you really want. What do you feel like is in God's heart for you? What have you been begging him for and praying and hoping and staying up late at night, not getting any sleep over? And then, we can, if we're a good fit, we'll show you what that would look like to work with us. And if not, we're going to steer you to whatever is best. That is our commitment to you. And so
Mm-hmm.
you can go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call and book that call. Pick the very best time. Listen, if your spouse is willing to work on the marriage, talk to them about it. Show them this video. Say, I care enough about you. I know we've been stuck. I know we've been hurting each other. Let's fix this now. And then
Yes.
you book that call together, block your calendar off, get paper and pen, get ready to take notes, and get ready to show up for a massive breakthrough, really deciding things are going to change starting today. You
Right.
can go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call, and we'll talk to you guys very, very soon.
And absolutely so glad you said that, Rach. Just one thought, like, this is not a $24.99 ebook. Like, this is not one of those simple helps that's out there. If we're a good fit for working together and we invite you in, not only do we invite you in, but we're all in with you. And that's what it really takes. It really takes involvement. It takes accountability. It takes the encouragement, the being equipped, being empowered, someone to walk that journey with you, and not just an appointment every 3 weeks, right?
Right.
That's so slow and it's so disconnected and impersonal. What you need is godly counsel along the way. So if that's you, if that's what you're looking for, you've been sick and tired of the things that should have helped that didn't, this is exactly the place you need to come at turnaroundmarriage.com/call. And until next time, we wish you God's blessings.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys real soon.